morning. One of the great things about getting to speak last is that you can take mad notes, which is what I've done, and you can try and summarise what everybody else has had to say, because I've got nothing new to add. They've pretty much covered it all. My topic, and I guess the topic of everyone today, is about conquering challenges, or accepting challenges, more importantly. You know, sometimes in life, the only thing left on your table, and I've heard this among some of the speakers today, the only thing left on your table is actually a challenge. And if you're not prepared to accept it, then you've got nothing. You've got zero. And this happened to me recently, in 2009. As a matter of fact, 4 days from today, in 2009, 4 years ago, that challenge was presented to me. And that challenge that was presented to me at the time, was the sale of the business by General Electric, of which I was the chairman of that business in Australia, in India, and at various other places around the world. Sale of that business to Aussie Home Loans and Commonwealth Bank of Australia. At which point, my job was terminated. My whole planning, life's career was terminated. That's cool. It wasn't a financial problem for me, but it was a personal problem for me. What the hell am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do going forward? That was a challenge being put to me. And of course, whenever you get a challenge, a whole lot of things arise. You conjure up excitement, drive, passion. I'm going to be focused. You line them all up. You start to wind yourself up. You come to one of these events, you get all motivated, inspired. Go back home, which happened to me. Jiminy Cricket gets above your head about 2 a.m, starts rubbing his legs together. And that one emotion that stops everything, fear, turns up and puts itself right at the front of the queue of all those other emotions, all those other positive emotions. Fear. Everyone has it. I have it. Kerry Packer had it. James Packer has it. Everybody I know in business has it. Don't ever doubt yourself. We all get confronted by fear. Daily, weekly, monthly, hourly, and at the worst times. It lurks and hangs around. You can never get rid of it. All you can do is push it away. And fear is the greatest thief of imagination and innovation known to man. It robs us of that. Without imagination and innovation, we can't exist. Without imagination and innovation, we cannot accept a challenge. Without imagination and innovation, we can't win the challenge. Fear does that. And there is a way of dealing with fear. Or I have a way of dealing with fear. We've heard about it today. There's only one thing that can push fear back into the shadows where it belongs, and that's self-belief. Self-belief in yourself and about what you're doing. Self-belief is something you must cultivate. Self-belief is the thing that is derived from having good people around you, team. Self-belief is the thing that is derived from knowing your topic, having good understanding and empathy. Self-belief will always push fear away. But you must remind yourself you must continually practice self-belief all the time, otherwise fear will come back in, right behind you, and tap you on the shoulder. And when it comes to all the various stresses, once you're on top of the self-belief bit, when you just keep practicing it, you're pushing fear away, all the time you're going to get pressure. When we're rowing from one country to another country, or one continent to another continent, when I'm doing my business, taking on the 4 most profitable banks in the world, when any one of you are doing what you've got to do, accepting your challenge, you're going to get all this pressure on you. And it's going to come from every direction. It's going to cause you stress. If you don't manage that stress, you're going to get sick. If you get sick, you can't conquer, you can't do anything. So what do you do in those situations? Well, we do this in the Celebrity Apprentice all the time. We put people in these stressful positions, and I'm looking for this. I'm looking for someone with the ability to detach. You see, when we operate in 3 dimensions. We all know there's 3 dimensions. We operate in 3 dimensions. The challenge that we are participating in is in 3 dimensions. It's right in front of us. We are in it. We're part of it. We're participating. That's what participation means. We're part of something. But when all the pressure and all the stress comes at you, you've got to be able to do something. You've got to be able to detach. You've got to be able to step back and have a look what's going on in those 3 dimensions. Remember something, that does not define you. Those 3 dimensions, that challenge, what's going on there is not you. That's not defining of you. That's what you're participating in. You've got to step back and observe what's going on. You've got to detach from that. You've got to employ your own consciousness and start to cut it up into parts, deconstruct it, then reassemble it. It's a tricky technique, but it works. The smartest people I know do it all the time. Now, that's not to say people like me, it doesn't overtake us every now and then, but you've got to remember the practice. Detach, look at your own consciousness. Remember, that's not you. You're participating in it. When you choose, the rest of the time you're observing it and you're using that to manage it. Very important technique. I've heard some of the speakers talk about it tonight. Not necessarily in the same language or terminology, but it's been able to step back and let it all go on. Don't get caught up in the fight all the time. Don't be down there wrestling in the mud. You're going to get in there, but actually have the ability to pull out. And if you can detach, in other words, you've got to get your head around not being attached to something. I don't own something. Something doesn't own me. Ownership is a legal fiction. It doesn't exist. It's a bunch of lawyers worked out there is a thing called ownership, and they build up registration processes that allow you to say, I own this. You don't own it. I own it. It's mine. There's no such thing. You can enjoy the benefits of things. You can have fun with things, but you don't own anything. Really don't own anything. No such thing. No such concept. Here, it's coming from me in financial services. I lend money to people who own property, but I know they don't own it. There's a legal system to register them. That's it. You've got to be able to step away from all that. And as soon as you step away from attachment, you're able to attach yourself. You're no longer looking at what I'm going to lose because you don't know anything. You're looking about what I'm going to gain. What am I going to gain from this process? What am I going to gain from this experience? That's what you've got to look at. What's in it for me to gain? Not what's in it for me to lose. And when you're in this challenge environment, it's all very well to believe in yourself. It's all very well to accept the challenge. There's nothing else on the table. 4 days ago, 4 days and 4 years ago. You've got to be motivated. You need something to motivate you. Now look, you may well go to conferences to get motivated, but you've got to be looking for the motivation. I'm talking about something that's quite formulaic here. And by the way, all these things are formulaic. But you must look for motivation. Different things motivate different people. For me, 2009, I got confronted with something. My business was sold. I was pretty unhappy about it. I got sick. Didn't know what I was going to do for the rest of my life, literally. Went up and spoke to a certain individual, sat in front of him. He just acquired my business. A big name, everyone knows him, good guy. I said to him, tell me something. I don't understand. You've bought my business. You've taken over my business. I don't have anything. Why is it but I built this business. I know about this business. I understand it better than anybody. Why is it that you haven't restrained me from competing against you? And his response to me was, in all sincerity, why would I bother doing that, Mark? What the hell are you going to do? Now, that was my motivational moment. My motivational moment was to prove him wrong. I won't say what I thought, because I was told by Nanette and not to swear today, okay? Normally I would. And it was oh, sorry. Sorry, Nanette. Winston, sorry. But that was what I felt. That motivated me. What it did, though, that motivation, I was actually out there looking for it. Subconsciously, I was out there looking for that. And what I was looking for was something to bring all those other techniques I just talked to you about self-belief and getting over fear, bringing all those back into my mind and actually having a very focused process about what it is I'm about to do. Understanding my marketplace. Did I understand my marketplace? Yes. GFC. Who would set up a financial service business in the middle of GFC? Someone who's mad or someone who understands what people in the GFC needed. The people during the GFC needed something. I was giving myself a purpose now. People during the GFC lost a lot of money. People's superannuation went down. Banks were dominating even more than they've ever dominated before. What did people need? What did become my purpose? My purpose was, no, it wasn't making home loans. My purpose wasn't giving financial advice. No, that's not my purpose. My purpose became the dreams of people. That is, having a roof over your head and having a comfortable retirement. My purpose. I got motivated. I now got a purpose. So I had I had the why. Why am I doing something? Now, we saw something before about Viktor Frankl. One of the things that Viktor Frankl always did when he was trying to work out how he was going to survive in a concentration camp, he kept going back to, who am I? Why am I on this planet? What am I here for? I'm here to help other people. If you can determine the why, you'll have an answer, you'll have a way out of the how to. In other words, when all the problems are on top of you, you're trying to think, how am I going to do this? How am I going to fix this? What's the problem? How am I going to deal with this? Sometimes there's no answer immediately. But if you can step back and look at the why you're doing something, that helps you deal with the how bit. That's what Viktor Frankl said. That's what I was doing. I needed to find my purpose. I had a higher purpose. Dreams of Australians. And all Australians deserve to have this dream. Not just the rich guys, the privileged guys, the educated guys, the guys I know. Not just them. All Australians deserve to have a roof over their head and a comfortable retirement after they work their arse off their whole life. It's just fair. It's like food. It's like education. They're basic fundamentals. Governments should give it to us. Okay, they're not going to do that. So that became my purpose. And my purpose was set up a business, and I called it Yellow Brick Road, and it was about setting up this business during the GFC, taking a risk to get good advice to all Australians, everywhere, across this country. And I had no branches, none. Zero, day one, zero. But I had a dream. And I had a dream to help other people with their dreams. So I was motivated. I started to get my head together, started to work out what I had to do. But what was really important for me was I had to build a team. Now, the team is the thing that helps you with your self-belief, because they're continually telling you and convincing you that what you're doing is the right thing. You can't do it on your own. Most success is built upon the broad shoulders of others. Most success. Very rare there's a one-man show or a one-woman show. Very rare. Heard a funny saying yesterday, behind every great woman is a pile of laundry. We did a laundry challenge for the Celebrity Apprentice. I'm in the middle of filming at the moment. And one of the celebrities said that, actually. So, and what's really important is to know what your team's going to do. And something I learned about team is teamwork, but it's challenging your team. You want a good team, you've got to keep challenging. Now, some people might say this is sort of bullying a little bit. You know, you're putting it to them all the time, never giving them too much of a break. Kerry Packer, the master, who was my partner for 12 years, Kerry Packer told me and taught me about the process of challenging your team, the people in your organisation. How did he do it? Well, he used to do it to me. I was his business partner. He said to me one day, I'll never forget it, he said to me one day, he said, Mark, he said, I just put $25 million in my business, in the Wizard business, and he said, now, what you've got to do, son, is you've got to go and buy this other business. And it's going to cost you $50 million. He said, I want the deal done within 6 months. If it's not done within 6 months, we're going to have a real problem. We're 50-50. After that point, what am I going to do? I couldn't organise anything. Bought myself a brand new blue suit, got on an aeroplane, flew to Amsterdam, did a deal with the head of the bank in Amsterdam that owned this particular business in Australia. I went there unannounced. I just waited in the lobby until the guy would see me, nearly for 6-7 hours. Did the deal, came back to Australia, told Kerry, sat in his office. Kerry sitting there with his feet up on the table, shirt off, bleeding everywhere. Just been to the guy takes all the skin cancers off you. Nurse comes in, injects him because he had sugar diabetes. He's just sitting there unflinching, smoking his head off, staring down at me. I'm this big, he's that big. Photographs of paintings of animals getting their heads torn off all around the room. It was just really intimidating. He said, son, have you done that deal? It's interesting. No, I have done the deal, Kerry. Now, he put $25 million in my business. We had $10 million left. He said, how much is it going to cost us? I can only buy 50%, Kerry. And he said, how much is it going to cost us? $25 million. And he said, okay. He said, you've got 10 in the bank. How much do we need? 15 million, Kerry. So he gets down a drawer, pulls out a checkbook, writes a check for $7.5 million, jumps on the table and says to me, son, this is a Tuesday, right? He said, son, $7.5 million made out to Wizard Home Loans. He said, you got till Friday to put your $7.5 million in. Now, that was pretty confronting. Very confronting. And this is Kerry challenging me all the time. So what I did is avoided him for 3 months. Literally. But at the end of 3 months, I made another appointment to see him. And he said, what do you got for me? I said, the deal is, I found a new partner. Kerry, you're 50%, I'm 50%. I've got someone who wants to come in for a third. They want to come into our business for a third, and they're going to put $60 million into the business. He said, I don't like that. He said, I don't like being a minority shareholder. I said, don't worry about that. I said, you've got a third, I got a third. We team together, we get 66 and 2/3%. We're majority. I said, plus we get the 60 million. You can have your cheque back for $7.5 million. I don't have to put mine in. We buy half the business, and we've got more money in the bank than we've got today. He said, I like that deal, son. Take the deal off the table. Now, Kerry the whole time was challenging me. That's what he did to his team. He does it to his team all the time. He does it to the cameraman. He did it to everyone. That's what I do in my business. And that's what I had to do. I had to go and draw my guys in and start challenging them. And I went and employed guys that have always worked for me. Guys I knew who are known quantities. Then finally, I want to talk to you about something that's really important. And I know I'm over time, but I'll just take a couple minutes on this. But finally, the thing that pulls a business together are virtues. Character. People's characters. Things like courage, endurance, respect, loyalty, all those sorts of things. The sort of things just your grandmother talked to you about, you know, on Sundays 20, 30 years ago. Sort of things people don't actually talk about much today. But they're the things that pull a business together. And let me just pick out 3. Courage, empathy, understanding. Courage, pretty obvious. Empathy, having a good heart. Understanding, having a good mind. In other words, knowing your topic, knowing where you are, what you're doing, what's your purpose, what you're trying to do here. And what inspires me about those 3 things is the movie called The Wizard of Oz, which a lot of you have seen, the book written by Frank Bowman, 1905, about the Wizard of Oz, but it was actually an allegory about character. A very important allegory about character. You see, they had the lion who had no courage, or thought he had no courage. You had the Tin Man, who had no heart, he had no empathy. And you had the Scarecrow, who had no brains. And they represented certain people in the economic climate at the time. Scarecrow represented the farmers who were complaining about the droughts and the winds and the cyclones. You had the Tin Man, who represented all the metal traders who were rorting the system and ripping people off with the price of silver. You had the Lion, which represented all the politicians who had no courage. And all along these 3 virtues, these 3 characters, and these 3 characteristics went on a journey on a yellow brick road to find out who they are. And that's why I call my company Yellow Brick Road. Because they're 3 virtues I needed to draw back in 2009. I need to bring in courage, empathy, and use my head. So I call my business Yellow Brick Road. And on my Yellow Brick Road, I've been following not the characters, but the 3 characteristics, the 3 traits. Because the movie and the book is about the characteristics, not about the characters. Kids look at the characters, we should be looking at the characteristics. And that's what makes you successful in taking on a challenge. All the speakers today I've listened to all display the same characteristics, plus many more characteristics, plus many more virtues, but they all have those ones in common. They understand the challenge, they're courageous in relation to the challenge, and they're empathetic to everything that it represents. So what's really important, once you've got all those 3 lined up, there's one more thing. There's one more character in that show, and her name was Dorothy. And Dorothy represents something that has been spoken about by every single speaker today, and Dorothy represents the hopes of all Americans. Because America, when that book was written, was in the depths of a Great Depression, the greatest depression the United States has ever seen. Bigger than the 1930s. It was in the 1890s. It was called the Great Panic. Worst depression ever. And they needed hope. And Dorothy represented hope. Because hope really is the glue that brings all virtues in. You can be courageous, you can be empathetic, you can be smart, you can have a good understanding, you can be respectful and loyal, but if there's no hope, there's no point in employing any of these things. Hope is the currency of leaders, all of you. Hope is what I'm looking for in the Celebrity Apprentice. I'm looking for that leadership quality. They're the sorts of people who actually survive to the end in the show. Even though it's a social experiment, that's why I do it. I'm actually interested in how people operate. Hope is the most important thing you can have. Never walk away from it. It's that shining light, it's the candle. Ladies and gentlemen, hope is the thing that I had to look for in 2009 to bring everything together. I'm not going to tell you where I found that hope. That's my personal thing. But each one of you knows where you're going to find hope. Each one of you knows how to look for it. But each one of you needs to be reminded, as I need to remind myself, that hope is so important. Today, Yellow Brick Road, gone from 0 branch to 155 branches around Australia. Yellow Brick Road's gone from 0 value from the day it started to today being capitalised as a listed company, 150 million. 4 years. 4 days from today. He'll be 4 years old. I can't believe I'm actually standing here talking to you. 4 years ago, I was sort of sitting in my office, sick as a dog, not knowing what to do. And here I am expressing to you what I'm talking to you about today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to wish you hope, courage, empathy, understanding on your Yellow Brick Road, and all the best in success in addressing and accepting your challenge. Thank you.